So hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and I'm just here at a village kuti in Gampaha in Sri Lanka, and thought to record a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. So I thought that could start with just a little meditation. So can lean forward a bit if we don't have sprained ankles, and arch our spine, and look about 3 feet in front, and close our eyes. And can focus in on the breath. Can know when it's coming in, and know when it's going out. If we breathe in a long breath, can just know I'm breathing in a long breath. And if we breathe in a short breath, can just know I'm breathing in a short breath. And can focus on the breath at the tip of the nose. And when focusing on the breath at the tip of the nose, can try to make mindfulness as continuous as possible. Being aware all the way through the in-breath and all the way through the out-breath. And can try a little bit of body contemplation. One can try. It's called the Subhasanya in Pali. So we can think about the hair of the head. Think about what head hair looks like in a shower drain. Repulsive, unattractive. Think about what hair of the head might smell like if it wasn't washed for 3-4 days, 5 days, for a week. Can perceive the repulsiveness of the hair of the head. And one can contemplate the unbeautiful in body hair. One can contemplate how bad body hair can smell. The hair in the armpits. Very foul, unattractive. If one finds chest hair on a washroom floor, it's very unattractive. One can contemplate the unbeautiful in the hair of the body. And can contemplate nails. How do toenail, fingernail clippings look? How they're loathsome, unattractive. And yet nails are on a person's body all the time. Why is there this difference in perception? One can contemplate the loathsome aspects, the unbeautiful aspects of nails. And before we finish meditating, can spread thoughts of goodwill, wishing may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make the mind infinite, can make it unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. You can open our eyes and do a short Dhamma discussion for the internet. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Saṅghāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. So I hope that everybody is keeping well wherever it might be. And I was actually having an interesting Dhamma discussion the other day. It was about Mettā. So we were chatting a bit, and a person had been practicing Mettā and said, you know, I notice now when I practice Mettā, there's a kind of detachment. There's kind of, you know, when I practice, I don't feel like, you know, this kind of, the feeling is different. And the discussion, I said, well, that's good. Actually, so basically the question, the unspoken question in our discussion was like, is this a good thing or is this not a good thing? So with Mettā and with basically any meditation topic in general, what one will tend to want to have happen is one of the byproducts, or the main goals even, is this, one of the main goals is this kind of, there's a separation that takes place between the mind, or you know what we might call between the phase of when somebody contacts something outside, there's a kind of a feeling there, then there's usually a like or dislike, then there's a kind of clinging, then a person takes on something because of that, they become something because of that, they form an idea, whatever it is. So when one meditates, ideally this process between when there's contact and when one decides what to do about it, there's a kind of, the gap should ideally be larger and larger, longer and longer. So before a person first starts to meditate, it can be very short. As somebody says something, there's this kind of snap. And you kind of, or even before one takes on a particular meditation topic that's meant to remedy a particular defilement, the contact can happen and there's a snap. Right away this thing happens. It kind of, you know, whatever it is, one contacts somebody one doesn't like, anger comes up immediately. One contacts somebody one thinks is very beautiful, and this kind of feeling of lust comes up immediately, very fast. So whatever the topic is that one is doing, one of the ideal things is that there's this gap. The gap widens, and one has more and more time to choose and make an appropriate choice, more and more ability to resist the temptation of whatever this defilement it is. There's kind of anger, there's a temptation there, there's kind of whatever it might be. So in regards to Mettā, oftentimes Mettā is translated as kind of loving kindness, or this kind of like love, like one should be in love. And many people like this feeling of being in love. Actually, in the Pali Canon, they use a different term for love. It's kind of they use this word pema. Pema means this kind of, it tends to mean this kind of like affection, this kind of like strong attachment. Mettā is a little bit different. So when a person has mettā, Ajahn Thanissaro has done a lot of groundbreaking work on this. One has kind of like a goodwill. He translates it as goodwill. In other words, one doesn't necessarily have to love the person that one has goodwill for. So actually, in a certain sense, it's not pragmatic. It's not really possible to form, to form these really strong, loving attachments to everybody. It's kind of, one won't necessarily feel like a mother towards everybody, and not everybody wants one to feel like a mother. So, mettā, the way that Ajahn Thanissaro has done research into this and explained is very excellent. It's basically that one has a feeling of goodwill. One wishes the other person, may you be happy. But in wishing that another person be happy, there's also a recognition that basically the main way people become happy, my interpretation, is that they have to do it for themselves. They have to put the causes into place for themselves. There's kind of our happiness, our unhappiness, it can be influenced by external things, but mainly it's this internal kamma, the way that we perceive things, the way that we do things. The Buddha makes this very important point. He says there's this one time somebody approaches him, and he's been sleeping outside during the Indian winter, and it goes down to below freezing there apparently sometimes. So he was sleeping, and somebody approached him and said, "Did you sleep well?" And he said, "Yes, I slept well. He said, "I always sleep well." So, but the night is cold. You don't have much comfort. Basically paraphrasing, not many blankets. Wasn't much comforting there, no big bed. And the Buddha said, well, imagine if somebody has all these kind of mental taints, their mind is very feverish, even if they sleep on a really lovely bed, their sleep is poor. But if their mind is good, when they go to sleep, they sleep really, really well. So, in a similar way, these kind of the happiness or unhappiness that a person gets, it comes from things that they do internally. They gain happiness because they put the causes into place. So when we wish, may a person be happy, what we're actually wishing is, may you put the causes into place to be happy. So what this means is very pragmatic. Actually, you can wish for an enemy, may you be happy. May you put the causes into place to be happy. It basically means they're not really going to be your enemy anymore. You can wish for a politician that somebody really loathes, may you be well and happy, because there's a recognition they're going to have to do good deeds if they want to become happy. So it becomes much more pragmatic than, I want to love you like I'm a mother and you're my child. This is in the Mettā Sutta, this discourse. It says, even as a mother protects with her life her child or only child, basically in a similar way, one should spread metta to all beings. So when we put all these suttas together, one of the good ways to interpret this is that phrase actually means that we learn to protect this mind state of goodwill as a mother for her child. We don't fall into this kind of strong attachment. And also, not all beings would like that. So there's actually another sutta dealing with metta, and this sutta involves snakes. There's a time in the Vinaya, a sutta, kind of a gatha or a phrase in the Vinaya Pitaka, I think, where a monk was bitten by a snake and died. And the Buddha said, well, certainly he didn't suffuse the 4 families of snakes with loving kindness. And he gives this gatha to protect monks from snakes. And the gatha is interesting because it deals with metta. And what it says is, I have metta, and it goes through all these different families of snakes. Then it says, after a bit, it says, the Buddha is unlimited, the Dhamma is unlimited, the Sangha is unlimited. There's a limit to creeping things, basically. Then at the very end of the sutta, it says, may the beings depart. So you're spreading metta to all beings, but you also wish, in some cases, that these beings depart. So this is an activity that's not exactly like a mother really always wanting to be around her child and really wanting to cuddle it. Not all beings would like that. So when we practice metta with this attitude of goodwill, actually we can have metta for a being, may you be well and happy, may you put in the causes of place to be well and happy, but also recognize that there's some beings who mean us harm. And in that case, it's actually better that we don't get too close. It's better that we live in separate locations. So when we practice metta with this attitude of goodwill, the results that we should get is that it should eliminate hatred. It should be reducing our hatred. The hatred that we feel towards this politician, towards this enemy, towards this person who's done wrong, that should diminish. That should go away. The cure to hatred is metta. But at the same time, there's a detachment. Actually, hatred and love, hatred and lust, they're coupled together. When we really, really love somebody, we really have this strong attachment to them, it's almost always based on this opposite. Kind of, if they do something we don't like, we really love them because they're doing things we like. If they start to do things that we feel they shouldn't, it can turn into hatred very fast. So said in some other talks, in Canada, actually, apparently the most dangerous court is actually the divorce court, not the court with the most hardened criminals. These are people who've been really in love. So if we really want to eliminate hatred, we have to have goodwill for people. We have to wish, may you be well and happy, may you be at ease, but there should also be this gap. A gap should be there because they may do things to us that we don't like. That would not be appropriate for somebody who's as close as a mother is to a child. But we can still have metta for them. We can still have goodwill for them, even if they saw us limb from them, as it says in an important sutta in the canon. We can still wish, may you put the causes into place to be happy. What you're doing right now will lead to a lot of unhappiness, and better that you didn't do it, and I'll try to fight to escape. But if I can't, then I'm going to practice not to let hatred arise in my mind. Wishing may you be well, wishing may you be at ease, but at the same time there's going to be a gap there. So if we practice metta, notice our hatred going down, but also notice detachment coming, this is likely a good sign that we're on the right track, on the track that the Buddha laid down for the elimination of hatred and for a true loving kindness, a true goodwill towards all beings. Okay, so leave that for reflection, and wishing everybody all the blessings of Dhamma practice.